Hello everybody, it's gotta be FMB here. Welcome back to Danganronpa 2 in the last episode. This was Danganronpa If. We were reading the book and we finished the series, but we didn't finish reading the book series. So we're here to finish that off now. So this is last where we left off. The book, what's the word? The bookmark is a lie. I'm gonna insert this bookmark now, so it knows this is where the last part is. So, let's get started. Over 10 minutes have passed. The sound of students leaving the gym and making their way to the nurse office rang throughout the hall. Janessa Jacket continued to dodge Sakura's attacks with her tricky movements, but when Byakuya blurted off, "Enough already, you irritating pervert," Janessa Jack stopped in her tracks. "Oh, my. Getting chewed out by my bespectacled Byakuya is making my masochistic side all tingly." They say the line between sadism and masochism is a paper thin, but in my case, it's more like a Venn diagram. Words can't explain these hot waves of passion squirming from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. As she rambled incoherently about Byakuya, the other students tied her up with a microphone cable from the gym and locked her in her room. Half the students stayed behind to keep an eye on her, while the rest left to search the grounds of the school. As soon as the door to the nurse's office opened, Kyoko saw a non-functioning Monokuma with a hole in its chest and the remains of a surveillance camera. It wasn't just in the nurse's office, though. On the way there, the students had seen several destroyed surveillance cameras and scattered Monokuma bodies. It was clear violation of school regulations, but if Mukuro was allied with Monokuma, those regulations wouldn't apply to her anyway. The Monokuma inside the gym was no longer moving, and the students had lost contact with the hacker, Beishiki Madurai. So the students assumed that Madurai had taken control of a different Monokuma and went after Mukuro on his own. With that in mind, Kyoko turned and looked inside the nurse's office once again. It was unusually quiet. The beds were empty, but Kyoko could see bloodstains that someone had been resting there recently. Looks like they're already gone, Mondo remarked, but as he was about to leave, Kyoko spoke up behind them. "I'm going to stay here with Chihiro and search for clues." "Huh?" asked Chihiro, her timid eyes widened. "Clues?" Kyoko continued to speak in a calm tone of voice. "Yes, there may be some clues in these Monokuma remains. I figure you'd be the best candidate for investigating machinery." Sakura spoke up. "But isn't that dangerous?" Since Sakura could clearly hold her own in a fight with Mukuro, she had joined the other students in searching the school grounds. Kyoko stood her head and replied, "I'm sorry to say this, but if things get out of hand, Chihiro and I will just be in your way. I think it's better if we search for clues instead of doing nothing. Besides, we might be able to use Monokuma's parts to detect any radio broadcasts from the outside world." You certainly have a point. Understood. We'll be exploring this floor for a while. Please shout for us if anything happens." Sakura left the nurse's office. How did she destroy Monokuma like this? As Chihiro cautiously stood over Monokuma's remains, Kyoko started searching through the room. She zeroed in on one of the beds and began studying it intensely. A moment later, Kyoko was satisfied with what she found and let out a small sigh before she spoke. "Chihiro, let me apologize to you in advance." "Huh?" "I dragged you in this gamble of mine, so if anything happens, run out of into the hallway and call for help." What does that mean?" Well, instead of answering Chihiro's question, Kyoko started talking to one of the empty beds. "Let me say this first. I'm prepared to hear your story. No matter how ridiculous it may sound, I promise not to decide if it's a lie or truth until after I've listened to it entirely." Chihiro looked confused. She didn't understand what Kyoko meant at all. The ultimate mystery Mr. Mystery lowered her eyes and turned to the ultimate programmer to make a request. "Chihiro, does your laptop have a voice recording function, and do you have a microphone?" "Huh? Yeah. I want you to use that to record everything we're about to hear." "But there's no one here." As Chihiro wondered to herself, she began connecting Monokuma's parts to her laptop and turned on the record function. "I'm sure we'll pick up every sound in this room now," said Chihiro nervously. Satisfied, Kyoko nodded and once again started talking to the empty bed. "So what were you going to do if I told everyone that I'd found Makoto?" When she heard Kyoko say that, Chihiro looked back at her and was surprised by what she saw. In that moment, the ultimate programmer was kneeling on the floor next to Monokuma's remains. From that position, she was able to see it. Of all the beds in the nurse's office, there was one bed in particular that couldn't be seen from the entrance. Underneath that bed lay a limp Makoto. A blood pack was hidden next to the bed and slowly providing Makoto with a transfusion. The contents of the blood pack were clear. Rather than blood, it seemed to be some kind of saline solution used in emergency hydration. Though it wouldn't be effective as an actual blood transfusion, it would be enough to keep him from going into shock. Though that was the extent of Chihiro's medical knowledge. She was already surprised that Makoto had been in the nurse's office this whole time. Not only that, but Kyoko wasn't tucked into the bed that Makoto was under, which sent chills throughout Chihiro's body. However, there was nobody under the bed that Kyoko was facing. But the moment Chihiro noticed that, a voice rang out from underneath it. As soon as everyone's attention was focused on Makoto, I was planning to take advantage of that opportunity to take someone hostage. As Chihiro cautiously lowered her head until it was nearly touching the floor, she was able to make out who was talking. Surprisingly, the person hiding there was clinging to the frame of the bed, like a ninja clinging to the ceiling. Presumably, if someone had glanced under the bed quickly, they wouldn't have noticed anybody was there. Though Chihiro had no idea how the person was able to hide under the bed for so long, she could at least listen or understand their strength was beyond normal human levels. There was no question that the person hiding under the bed was Mukoto Ikusaba. But you pretended not to notice. Why? Mukoto's voice was as cold as ice, but Kyoko didn't even flinch as she responded. Because I wanted to hear your side of the story. I knew you were hiding under that bed. Compared to the others, the frame was slightly more pronounced. Chihiro tried comparing the beds to see if this was true, but she couldn't tell the difference at all. Only Kyoko's natural observation skills could let her see something like that. Mukoto seemed to come to a similar conclusion and appeared from under the bed without making a sound. Her face was stoic and cold compared to the bomb inside Monokuma. Chihiro thought she was even more terrifying. However, Mukoto ignored Chihiro and shifted her gaze at Kyoko. She leaned against a wall and let her arms fall to her side as she threw out another question. Why do you want to hear what I have to say? Kyoko thought about this simple question for a while, as if she were searching within her own heart for the answer. If I have to provide an answer, it's because I wish to remain neutral. Kyoko quietly looked down. I'm currently missing most of my memories. I don't know who I am or what talent I had to be accepted into the school. She could hear Chihiro gasp behind her, but Kyoko didn't mind and continued. But even so, I believe I should listen to what you have to say. Regardless of whether you're good or evil, I must hear all the facts in order to know the truth. Good and evil don't matter. I'll come to a conclusion based on what I see and hear. I think that's the mythology that's been instilled into me. I see. I completely forgot you were like that, Kyoko. But before I listen to what you have to say, I'd like to ask you one question first. What is it? Mukoto's reply was completely emotionless. Kyoko presented her question as if she were asking it of herself as well. What was my talent that allowed me to attend this academy? The answer to that question was simple. Kyoko, you're the ultimate detective. That answer marked a turning point for both girls, so I'm just going to take a sip of my water real quick. Thank you. I have a better understanding of the situation now. Kyoko slowly raised her head and presented a theory. If my memory loss wasn't just a coincidence, then your group has the ability to erase people's memories. With that in mind, if we take into consideration the situation that unfolded in the gym earlier, I can only come to one possibility. Possibility? Yes. What you said to Byakuya when he thought you were taking Toko hostage. You claimed that you met 2 years ago. It's possible that might actually be true. The fact that Makoto called out Mukoto's name, the things that Mukoto confirmed and denied, Genocide Jack's outlandish claims. The key factors that Kyoko noted using her special observation skills were converged in her mind to form one answer. It's possible that Byakuya and Toko's memories are also erased like mine. I don't think their circumstances are quite the same as mine. Oh god. It's possible that Byakuya and I just read that. But if our memories can become controlled so freely, it calls into question whether the day Monokuma appeared was really the same day we entered the academy. Like you said, it's possible that we've known Toko Fukawa for the last 2 years. What do you mean? Chihiro cried, still working on connecting her laptop to Monokuma parts. Kyoko continued speaking to both Chihiro and Mukoto. We thought we'd knocked unconscious with the sleeping gas the moment we arrived to the school, but it's possible that we were also simply made to think that's what happened. For example, we may have already spent the last 2 years at Host Week Academy and our memories of that time are completely erased. It's even possible that we aren't even ultimates at all, but just random people who've been implanted with 16 years worth of false memories. Though Kyoko's claims sounded ridiculous, her face was completely serious. She looked up at Mukoto once again, which means I'm considering the possibility that your crazy story is actually the truth. Kyoko's declaration filled the room with silence, but she didn't let the silence overwhelm her. Kyoko cut through it with her own words. Without evidence, all I can do is make a hypothesis. That's why I want to hear what you have to say, Mukoto. I have no intention of blindly believing what you're going to say, or what that self-proclaimed hacker who took over Monokuma said. She paused and lowered her eyes again, then declared with powerful determination. Even so, I intend to come to a conclusion as fairly and objectively as I can. But I can only do that if you trust me and tell me the truth. Kyoko's conviction was clear from her voice. Mukoto's eyes narrowed slightly with a tapestry of emotions flashing across her face as she looked towards Kyoko. But once she opened her mouth, her expression and voice were completely devoid of emotion. That's right. I completely forgot you were like that. Mukoto repeated this to herself softly, then faced Kyoko and declared, "That must be why Junko took care to erase more of your memories compared to the others." "Very well, I'll tell you everything." And after Mukoto placed Makoto back onto the bed, she began to mechanically tell a story. The story of a girl who wanted to fill the world with despair. A girl who only felt truly happy when she was filled with despair herself. A plan of her despair that began 2 years ago, or perhaps even earlier than that. Now, how the world was currently ruled by despair itself. Mukoto provided a brief summary of everything she knew about the plan. That's why it sounded even more outrageous than Kyoko had expected. And through her story, Kyoko was able to learn the truth about herself. Who she is and why she came to the academy. The fate of the academy's real headmaster, Kyoko's father. And as she listened to Mukoto's story, Kyoko remained silent the whole time. Her face went blank when she learned her father had died. Perhaps her memory loss and the absurdity of the situation helped lessen the impact somewhat. But there was no guarantee Kyoko would even believe her story. After Mukoto finished speaking, Kyoko stayed silent. With her unrivaled mental prowess, she was able to listen to Mukoto's story without interrupting her or dismissing it as nonsense. Mukoto continued. "Yeah, you don't have to believe me. After all, any pictures that could prove my story are with Junko. All I can do is talk." After she said that, Mukoto silently walked towards the entrance to the nurse's office. When she arrived at the door, she spoke again without looking back. "But even if you don't believe me, you still listened to everything I had to say. So, Kyoko, Chihiro, thank you." After apologizing in such a strange tone of voice, she turned to the bed where Makoto lay, breathing weakly. "Make sure Makoto stays rested. When he wakes up, make sure you give him some sports drinks from the dining hall or supply room to drink. Please." "Of course, but what are you going to do now?" asked Kyoko. So, Mukoto straightened for herself up. "Despair. I need to make Junko feel despair." Mukoto continued mumbling to herself as she opened the door. "There's nothing else I can do." "No, there's something you can do." Mukoto stopped walking as Kyoko spoke firmly. "Regardless of whether Monokuma is really Junko Enoshima or Bishiki Madurai, for dealing with him, he won't be able to lay a finger on Makoto. I don't fully trust you, but if you're really concerned for Makoto's life, I'm willing to work with you. Unlike Bishiki, who's probably abandoned him already. Right? I'm sorry. I don't really work well with others." Mukoto looked away, then bowed her head as she left the nurse's office. "But, I'll do my best." The doors closed and Mukoto was gone. "I'm sorry for involving you in something so dangerous, Chihiro." As she continued to organize the vast amounts of information that Mukoto gave her, Kyoko turned to Chihiro, who was still working on Monokuma. As she trembled with fear, Chihiro slowly looked back at Kyoko. Kyoko, about what Mukoto said just now." Chihiro's face turned pale as she struggled with her words, and Kyoko tried to calm her down. "You can't determine if anything she told us was true or not. There's no need to be afraid." But Chihiro shook her head and returned to looking at her laptop. I think she's telling the truth." "What are you basing that on?" Well, it looks like Monokuma is really being controlled from the outside. Part of Monokuma's system had been connected to Chihiro's laptop, and she was analyzing the data which is within its control system. And it was then when the ultimate programmer noticed something unusual about it. This control program, I thought it would be another year before the system became fully operational. Chihiro started trembling so much that she was unable to continue speaking. "We can't confirm that," said Kyoko, proposing another possibility to avoid jumping to conclusions. "It's possible that a similar program was being developed in secret." But Chihiro adamantly shook her head and said, "No, that's not it. It just looks really familiar to me." Kyoko looked over Chihiro's trembling shoulders to peer at the screen, and that's when she noticed. This program. "Chihiro, did you create this?" All the ultimate programmer could do was nod weakly. "Oh, it's, alter ego in it. First floor, main hall." Mukoto continued moving forward, and was fortunate enough to not encounter Sakura Armando. With no interference from anyone, she made her way to the hall as large as the gym, and stood before the sealed main entrance. Suddenly, Monokuma popped out from the shadows to block her path. Within the hall that resembled nuclear bomb shelter, replete with all manner of heavy weaponry, Monokuma's silhouette was conspicuous and out of place here. His laughter rang throughout the room as he wiggled his body from side to side. "Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo! What were you doing at the nurse's office? Did you eliminate your rival for Makoto's affections? Or did you help play matchmaker instead? Either way, don't you think it's kind of adorable to put Makoto and Kyoko in this kind of situation together? If this was a Suspenseful, those two would be the last couple standing. But if this is a horror film, they just die anyway." The killer was alive all along! Splat goes the blood, plop goes the meat. I'm a huge fan of endings where the characters think they're gonna live, but then they really head to the final death to Nathan. Wait, what the hell are the Tenation? What did that even mean? Despite Monokuma's angry complaints, Mukuro remained unperturbed. She continued to stare icy daggers at Monokuma as she was waiting for him to finish speaking. Well, anyway, I'm just so sad right now. A regulation-breaking delinquent is disrupting the harmony of this peaceful academy. I can't even keep one of my students from running wild. Time to say goodbye to your incompetent headmaster. I'm gonna use Monokuma Evolution to become a big Magnum headmaster and mold you into the decent student. As soon as he said that, Monokuma extended his claws and waddled towards Monokuma. So I'm gonna mold you, and I'm gonna kill you first. Right as he finished speaking, Monokuma suddenly charged at Mukuro like a spiking volleyball. But Mukuro's faster, dodged Monokuma's attack. She jumped back, keeping her distance from Monokuma just in case his claws would extend even longer. Just then, a shadowy figure appeared next to her. Mukuro twisted her body to its limits and just narrowly evaded the figure's attack. When she landed on the floor, she immediately saw. So what does this immortal killer want anyway? Are you going to tell the others the truth and escape with them? Even though you know what the outside world is like right now? Two Monokumas are speaking to Mukuro in unison. Honestly, I don't mind if you do that. I can just imagine the look on everyone's face when they discover the truth. It fills me with such heart-throbbing excitement. The two Monokumas continue to speak in stereo sound. You said you destroyed my plans, but there's no happy ending waiting for you, no matter which route you take. And you only have yourself to blame for that. Don't tell me you thought they'd be grateful to you. Even if you guys escape here, do you think they'll still forgive you when you get a whiff of that nasty air outside? Some of them might prefer to stay in the school, and some of them might resent you for being kind and showing them the truth. But then again, this is all your fault anyway, so it doesn't really matter what they think of you. Monokuma made a little mistake. Despite facing two Monokumas, Mukuro's expression didn't waver. She understood what was controlling two Monokumas simultaneously was a piece of cake for Junko. Mukuro drew an arm's-length metal bar from seemingly nowhere and readied herself. What the fuck? It was the remains of an IV stand from the nurse's office, sharpened into a pointed weapon. With her weapons in hand, Mukuro responded in a cold, mechanical tone. That's fine. I'm already used to that. None of the fear she felt when Monokuma suggested that Makoto would blame her for appeared on her face. Her path was clear to her now, and she calmly issued her demand to Monokuma. Junko, open the gates. The shock of such a straightforward demand left both Monokumas momentarily speechless, but soon they replied, Huh? Why? So we can all leave together. We can call leave together. Typos, another straightforward answer. Both Monokuma faced each other and began gesturing as if they were whispering to one another. Mukuro knew their movements were intended to mock her. Unmoved, she continued to speak to Junko directly. I think they'll understand if I show them the outside world, and then they'll stop doubting Makoto. You always find new ways to disappoint me, Mukuro. Did you forget why the school has an air filtration system? It's true that the air outside is polluted, but I don't think it'll kill us immediately. Besides, it's better than being trapped in the school and forced to kill each other. How can you be so sure the others will go along with you? You know what I mean, right? Before the former headmaster got turned into space dust, he interviewed the others and they all agreed, but they wanted to stay in the school. That was before their memories had been erased. Do you really want to betray their wishes? Oh god, the PS2 is gonna fall. Whoops. Mukuro blinked and slowly stepped forward. I don't really care about their feelings. Huh? You're all I need, Junko. So don't worry, I'm always watching out for you. I'm going to make sure you feel despair. And I'm going to make Makoto and the others happy. If you want to revel in your own despair that badly, then I'll trust the hope Makoto gave me and take my chances with them instead of you. Mukuro's brief but powerful words caused the Monokumas to turn and talk to each other again. Oh my, this doesn't look good at all, Monokuma. This child doesn't realize her own hypocrisy. She's so disappointing that she started to reach critical mass, right, Monokuma B? The two Monokumas looked at Mukuro, who seemed ready to destroy them, and said, What do you think, Monokuma C? Mukuro was taken aback by their question, but her instinct suddenly kicked in and she immediately dodged away. At that moment, a third Monokuma claws extended, passed by where her head had previously been. This new Monokuma unit landed with several spins and faced Mukuro, who had clung to the remains of a surveillance camera, was still attached to the ceiling. I agree with you both, A and B. The three Monokumas lined themselves up. To the student locked inside the academy, this sight would have been akin to a nightmare. Alright, on! Poo-poo-poo! The three units began speaking in perfect harmony as their 6 eyes looked up at Mukuro. Suddenly, they jumped away in 3 separate directions and kicked off one of the walls. The path of each unit's triangular attack all converged into a single point. Mukudo, who was still clinging to the ceiling. Here's the one thing about fight scenes in books. They can sometimes drag on. She was surrounded by razor-sharp claws coming at her from different directions. Like I was saying, like, fighting in shows and anime and stuff, the fights aren't usually that long, but like in manga and light novels, the fights are usually like chapters long, and they start getting real tiring if nothing like really cool or important's happening in the middle of them, so I'm kind of dying here. But this situation wasn't even a nightmare to Mukudo. Compared to the time she fended off 3 assassins who had invaded her camp one night back when she was still a member of Fenrir, this was nothing. The thought crossed Mukudo's mind as she dangled from the ceiling with one hand and thrashed her limbs around like a tornado. Intercepted by this move, the Monokuma fell to the floor with a loud crash. Mukudo landed on the floor and chased after one of them, brandishing her metal bar. Suddenly, she stopped moving and took a huge leap back. One of the Monokumas exploded with a deafening roar. He had detonated the bomb inside of himself in an attempt to take Mukudo down with him. But thanks to her honed battlefield instincts, Mukudo managed to avoid the explosion. She looked towards the hallway, expecting the explosion to have attracted the attention of Sakura and the others, but she didn't hear any footsteps approaching. Monokuma's voice rang from within the dense smoke. "Oh, you don't have to worry. I already told the other students to assemble in the cafeteria. They were eager to follow my orders after I told them I disarmed the poison gas and that a special police unit was coming to get them. I'm pretty sure Kyoko and the others are all in the cafeteria by now. I'm sure Makoto is with them too. I doubt Sakura will get too rough with them, but I'm sure Byakuya will torture Makoto once he wakes up. I can just imagine him rubbing salt or pouring sour sauce into his open wounds. Man, I'm getting all hot and bothered right now." As she listened to Monokuma's overlapping voices, Mukudo tilted her head slightly and asked, "I'm pretty sure they're going to find out that you lied about the special police unit. Are you really okay with that?" "No worries. Once I've dealt with you, I don't care about it at all if they find out I was lying. Poo 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 hoo hoo. You still don't get it? You're such a disappointment." It suddenly dawned on Mukudo. Not the reason why Monokuma didn't care if the students found out if he lied, but rather that the voices of the Monokumas in the smoke were gradually increasing in number. Oh, they are. Poo hoo hoo hoo. They are. As the smoke started to clear, the shadows of 3 Monokumas appeared. The one that exploded couldn't have revived, so a new one must have come to take its place. But there's no way Mukudo only heard 3 Monokumas talking just now. As if to prove her hearing had been accurate, the Monokumas suddenly made their move. The 3 Monokumas bent over and began twirling their upper bodies. From behind them, new Monokumas emerged like after images brought to life. The second row of Monokumas mimicked the earlier ones with only 1 frame of delay, revealing even more Monokumas behind them. Eventually, Mukudo realized that there were 3 rows containing 10 Monokumas, each 30 different Monokumas mate. Boo hoo hoo hoo. Did you know this is what they call the circle dance? Monokuma's 30 voices spoke in perfect harmony as they divulged information that had nothing to do with the current situation. Mukudo already knew that multiple Monokumas were positioned throughout the academy, but only Junko knew how many Monokumas actually existed. Mukudo had no way of knowing if these 30 Monokumas were part of a larger contingent. The flock of two-toned teddy bears continued to twirl around. Mukudo felt like she was being bombarded with hypnotic images. But faced with the abnormal sight, the ultimate soldier remained calm and maintained her focus. She was nothing like the girl who had panicked early in the gym when Makoto was impaled. And she stood before 30 emissaries of despair. She slowed her breath and allowed her heart rate to accelerate. It was instinct, not fear or panic, but that sent her blood racing throughout her body, speeding up the reaction time of her cells. As her senses sharpened, the Monokumas began speaking to her again. "Don't worry, I'll make sure Makoto doesn't die. As long as everyone else lives, I can reset their memories as much time as I want." That's right. All your efforts, hope, dreams, and determinations are going right in the garbage heap. The Monokumas turned, speaking in groups of 10, as if the mastermind controlling the Monokumas wanted to show off her ability to manipulate them. However, the ultimate soldier knew what the true purpose behind this all was. She strained her ears to her limit and noticed a certain sound hidden among the Monokuma voices. Mukudo's face remained perfectly still as she kicked off the floor. The moment she moved to the side, a roaring sound shook the entrance hall. The ceiling-mounted turrets in front of the gate started raining bullets down on Mukudo. Oh shit, the Monokumas were just the mastermind's decoy while she tried to blow her away. As if further trapping her, the Monokumas charged at Mukudo throughout the storm of bullets. Mukudo guessed that the mastermind programmed their movements in absence so they wouldn't get hit by a single bullet. She ran for the gates, evading waves of bullets and claws every step of the way. programming 30 Monokumas in 2 turrets while also predicting Mukudo's escape route. This would be considered impossible for anyone, but Mukudo knew it was possible for Junko. As impossible as the ultimate despair, she possessed despair-inducing abilities that would surpass the capabilities of any normal human. Her display of power was only fulfilling Mukudo with despair. The scene of playing out in front of Mukudo was brimming with despair. The adorably deadly Monokumas laughed and danced like reapers as bullets whizzed through the air. It was despair to the point of absurdity, and it was all for Mukudo. But the presence of such despair, Mukudo felt a strange serenity. For me? Junko's doing all this for me? Junko, are you watching me right now? In the end, perhaps Mukudo really was a disappointment. She clenched her fist. Junko, thank you. The sounds of gunfire overshadowed her whisper, and Mukudo fell completely silent. As members of Ultimate Despair, Mukudo's heart was filled with joy. Though she was filled with emotion, her eyes had lost their sparkle. Silence filled the air. Even the gunfire from the turret seemed to stop for a moment, but that was only an illusion to the one controlling Monokuma. Something strong enough to silence the gunfire and avoid being picked up by the sensor spread throughout the school and Mukudo at the center. I'll make sure I do this right. With the final thought, she closed her mouth and turned off her emotions. As she ran through the waves of scorching bullets, the air around her began to cold colder. As this coolness spread into her heart, it began to beat in a mechanical fashion. Several seconds later, Mukudo's body and mind melded together and became one with her surroundings. Her temperature now dominated the battlefield. Despair, bullets, and Monokumas filled the area. Mukudo had predicted their movements and jumped right into the air without hesitation. One of the Monokumas jumped at her, but she avoided his attack, kicked his body, and launched herself in midair. Bullets piercing through the space Mukudo was previously occupying, striking the falling Monokuma right through its internal bomb. The impact of the bullets caused it to explode, sending fiery Monokuma parts everywhere. As she rode the blast waves, Mukudo balanced herself in midair as she kicked away 2-3 Monokumas that leapt after her. She moved so gracefully she was practically flying. In contrast, the Monokumas threw themselves into the path of oncoming bullets, exploding one after the other. Some of them exploded near the main entrance, but their blast didn't even leave a scratch. With full control over the entrance hall, Mukudo evaded bullets and confirmed that the bombs inside Monokuma weren't enough to destroy the door. But she refused to stop. Mukudo needed to get information on what she must do to escape the academy. She had no desire to kill Junko. Mukudo wanted to fill Junko with despair by instilling hope into the future of Makoto and the other students. That was Mukudo's ultimate goal. Get information. In contrast to her determination, her mouth stayed shut. But this did not mean Mukudo was not currently speaking to Junko. This battle of death and destruction, was a conversation of sorts for Mukudo. All she knew how to do was fight. She thought she wasn't interested in anything else. She thought that she didn't need anything else. All Mukudo needed to be was a sword to fulfill her sister's desire for despair. The purpose alone was the cruce of her existence, and she lived her entire life convincing herself that she couldn't do anything else. That's why power was like a language to Mukudo. A bow to the death, revealing more about her heart than mere words ever could. Her words were the wind of savagery that blows across the battlefield, uprooting others who also speak the language of violence. This was true even against her sister. When Junko would berate her sister, Mukudo couldn't talk back. All she could do was cower and apologize profusely. But it's different now. For the first time, Junko was using a language her sister actually recognized. The child of despair who tore the world apart was speaking to her sister with the language of power. Mukudo's heart filled with joy. For that reason, she strengthened her focus on the conversation with Junko, and that emotion began to gradually disappear. On this frigid battlefield, Mukudo continued her heated conversation. Endless rounds of despair fired from the school's turrets. This is getting extra. We've been in the same area for how long? But Mukudo's words intercept every last violent shot that threatened to shatter her body in half. She quickly realized that the Monokumas hadn't decreased in number at all, no matter how many she kept destroying. And only that, she noticed that one Monokuma had been joining the fray until there were nearly 50 for Mukudo to fight. I'm just gonna take a sip of water. This is so much reading. But Mukudo's resolve wouldn't break so easily. As she continued to wield her power, her heart began to fill with something that was neither hope nor despair. She learned despair from being abandoned by Junko. She learned hope from her acts of violence. For Mukudo, who had no interest in this world, this small space in the front of the gate was a reflection of her life, a representation of her perfect world. This disappointing girl, filled with endless disappointment, who knew of no other way to live, continued her lonely dance. She surrendered herself to the rhythm of despair, which accompanied the music of hope. Damn, that was long. What the hell? That was long. We'll keep going because I want to try and see if maybe we can finish this today, because I'm tired of this. I just want to get it done. Computer room's innermost area, Monokuma room. How much time had passed? The surveillance cameras at the gates were capturing footage of countless Monokumas falling at the hands of a child who fought like a raging demon. The Monokumas bolstered their numbers, and now 100 of them were trying to sink their claws into Mukudo. Most of them were running on autopilot, reacting to her movements based on prior information they had received in advance. But despite standing before hundreds of mechanical adversaries, Mukudo's face showed no fear. She hadn't sustained a single injury, giving her a presence that was nearly divine to behold. Though Sakura Ogami was powerful enough to injure her arm, Mukudo in her current state could potentially fight Sakura to a draw now without relying on firearms. She looked completely control of the battlefield, taking her surroundings as if they were part of herself. She dodged attacks from the rear as though she had eyes on the back of her head, and stabbed through Monokuma's weak points with her metal bar. No matter where the attacks came from, Mukudo deflected them all as if her skin were covered in eyes. Describing her as ultimate no longer did her justice. Mukudo had transcended the boundaries of humanity and became a pure killing machine. But despite that, even though she understood the ludicrous power her sister possessed, Junko was not afraid. She felt not one iota of fear. After all Junko can feel is despair. She even started to admire her sister's attempt to fill her with despair, but that sentiment quickly filled Junko with an orgiastic ecstasy of despair. Junko knew. She knew that Mukudo was neither hope nor despair. She was just a phenomenon, a disappointing girl who no longer understood herself, who only knew how to be violent because it was all she could do. It's all she could believe in anymore. Mukudo had become an avatar of destruction beyond that of any military force. She couldn't even be considered a soldier anymore. She was a natural disaster, like a typhoon or a tornado. Or perhaps like gravity, she was now a fundamental force of the universe that only existed to bring despair to Junko. The mastermind enjoyed watching her sister go all out. If Mukudo destroyed everything and ruined her life, Junko would be comforted by the despair. She could just go right ahead and overpower her. Junko considered this for a few seconds until a familiar hopeless habit neared her head. Her habit of getting so bored that it made her sick. The girl who had been grinning as she watched the screen now bore a look of calm stoicism, and she reached for the microphone and connected the Monokuma speakers. Mukudo was no longer human anymore, but Junko knew how to bring her back. It was a simple feeling, really, and with that hopeless feel for Mukudo in mind, the mastermind just said one word. Mukudo. In front of the main entrance. Mukudo. That voice. It was calling her name. Instead of using Monokuma's voice filter, Junko's natural voice was coming out of the Monokuma unit. That's all it took. With one word, Mukudo Ikusaba stopped being a force of nature and became a person again. Monokuma would not miss this opportunity. As if moving to the beat Monokuma's shaking heart, a torrent of claws leapt to attack her. But Mukudo trusted her instincts and twitched her entire body to fend off the attacks, leaving her with only a few scrapes here and there. But despair wasn't over yet. The ultimate despair didn't waste any time making her next move. Mukudo, watch out! Huh? As soon as Mukudo heard that voice, her mind went completely blank. There was no mistaking it. That was Makoto's scream. The scream that saved her from spears of Gungnir and changed her destiny. No, that's wrong. It took her a tenth of a second to realize that the voice was just a sound clip that Junko had replayed, but it was more than enough time to drag Mukudo, who was regained to her humanity, into despair. Right when she recovered from her moment of shock, Monokuma appeared behind her and roundhouse kicked her into the temple. She twisted her head to roll with the blow, but at the moment a different Monokuma attacked her from the opposite side with a headbutt. As soon as Mukudo dodged that attack, 3 Monokumas launched simultaneously drop kicks and knocked her to the ground. Wow, what an anime. Ugh. The fact that they weren't using their claws meant they weren't trying to kill Mukudo right away, before she regain stand-up again. What? I think that's supposed to say, before she could regain the energy to stand up again, dozens of Monokumas waited for her on the floor, climbing on top of Mukudo and pinned her limbs. One of the Monokumas waddled over to Mukudo as she laid face down on the floor and laughed. Boo-hoo-hoo. A pretty girl being pinned by all these me's. I wonder if I should feel more excited about this. Don't make that face. If I wanted to kill you, I'd just pump you full of bullets right now. But I don't think the audience watching this on TV would like that ending very much. I need to make sure I do it right away this time. What are you planning to do to me? Or the right way this time, I think that said. Okay. What are you planning to do to me? Mukudo asked in an emotionless voice. Monokuma guffled and answered. Oh, there you go. Now lets me see. Watching that would like that ending very much. I have to do it the right way. Yeah, I thought so. Nothing. I'm just gonna stick to the original plan and make you play the killing game at this school. I'll erase everyone's memories again, and I'll just make them redo the introduction and the entrance ceremony again. In typical Monokuma fashion, he leaned his face towards Mukudo. But it'd be boring if we had to redo everything. Maybe this time I'll have you participate as Mukudo Ikusaba. I'll take away even more of your memories, like I did with that irritating detective girl. You'll just be a poor little girl with no memory at all. As Monokuma talked and wiggled, her body from side to side, the other Monokumas danced and twirled around. Amid the fantastical scene, Monokuma continued to describe this hopeless plan in a nonchalant manner. At first, you'll be the girl with amnesia, and everyone will feel so sorry for you. But as they unravel the mystery of this academy, they'll find out who you really are. It's exciting to think how they'll treat you when that happens. Knowing you'll probably kill someone purely on instinct. Maybe I should rethink my rules about self-defense. You can't. Her memories would be erased. There was nothing she could do about her classmates hating her. But losing even her childhood memories would mean her connection to Junko would be severed as well. Even if Mukudo had no interest in this world, that was unbearable even for her. I've heard of New Game Plus before, but this is the first time I'll get to see a New Game Minus. Should I tie you up just for fun? Or maybe should we make this game even more masochistic? Forget hard mode, very hard mode, and inferno mode. Why don't you skip ahead to the impossible mode? Maybe I'll erase your memories after I drag you on a motorcycle, pummel you with 1,000 baseballs, burn you at the stake, and crush you with an excavator. Those are all the murder, the trial enders in Danganronpa 1. Wow. Mukudo knew what Monokuma was talking about. She was describing the tools they had prepared for various executions they had planned for the students. After everyone reintroduces themselves, they'll walk around the school grounds and eventually find a flat-chested girl with amnesia, covered in bandages with Fenrir tattoo on her right hand. I'd bet a certain fan base might get off on that. If this was a game, that would increase sales by 500%. Though Monokuma sounded like he was joking, everything he said was deadly serious. As evidence, Mukudo heard some rumbling sounds off in the distance. Now then, your sweet ride is on its way. Based on the engine noise, Mukudo surmised it was a large motorcycle that was supposed to be used for one of the executions. I took the time to bring this all the way to the punishment room, so you better be grateful. The sound of the roaring engine grew louder and louder, like the approaching footsteps of death. Mukudo wondered how Monokuma would drive it with such tiny arms and legs, but then she remembered she was dealing with an ultimate despair. Junko would make the impossible possible, just to bring about despair. A despair that went hand in hand with Mukudo's fate. Did I fail? I couldn't fill Junko with despair? I couldn't save Makoto and the others? Questions raced through Mukudo's mind, but she wasn't able to answer them. There's no way she could have answered them so easily. After all, she was still alive. The sound of the motorcycle grew closer and closer as if it was threatening to break Mukudo's spirit. Suddenly, Monokuma stopped moving. The other Monokumas continued doing their automatic movements. As this strange event unfolded, Mukudo noticed something. The motorcycle had suddenly gone quiet. Then, after a few seconds, the engine exploded to life and began to approach even faster than before. Only a few seconds later, what appeared in front of the main entrance was an enormous motorcycle that plowed through groups of Monokuma like a predator hunting its prey. The rider of this motorcycle was none other than Mondo Owada. Mukudo and Monokuma were both visibly shocked by the turn of events. Instead of addressing them, Mondo accelerated the motorcycle he stole from Monokuma directly towards Mukudo. Just before the front tire touched Mukudo, he popped a reverse wheelie and turned the entire motorcycle around. The back wheel swept over Mukudo's back, knocking away all the Monokumas that were pinning her. Hey, can you stand? Mondo asked, and begrudgingly offered his hand to Mukudo. Confused, Mukudo took his hand and stood up. What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close, one of the Monokumas protested. Not in his normal voice, but as the hacker, Bashiki Madurai. Oh yeah, you're Bashiki or whatever, right? That's right, why are you helping a terrorist? I ain't bragging about this or anything, but I have no clue if you or this girl is lying. The veins in his temple began to bulge, and his cheeks flushed with anger as Mondo said, but still, I ain't the type to stand around while some idiot gangs up on a girl. What are you saying? Get a hold of yourself. You must be experiencing Stockholm Syndrome. You're deluded yourself into thinking you're friends with the criminal who's taking you hostage. Monokuma tries to explain it to Mondo, but he ignored him, took Mukudo's hand, and pulled her onto the back of the motorcycle. Oh, shut the fuck up. I don't know nothing about Stockholms or syndromes, but don't go acting like you can boss me around. As Mondo shouted, he revved the motorcycle as if he was using it to punctuate his words. The ceiling-mounted turrets began moving, but the two disappeared before the turrets could take aim at the motorcycle. Damn lit. As they zoomed through the hallway, countless Monokumas chased after them, waving their claws wildly through the air. Why? Asked Mukudo. Huh? shouted Mondo. His voice was even louder than the sound of the engine. Don't get the wrong idea. I don't trust you at all. He lowered his voice slightly, as if he were whispering to himself. But still, I don't know why, but I felt like I could trust what he said. Well, what? My phone's being weird. Inquired Mukudo. But there was no other time for questions. The unit leading the Monokumas chasing after the motorcycle had almost caught up to them, and like the other enormous mob, some fearsome creature, they brandished their claws in perfect unison. At that moment, motorcycle zoomed by a certain girl. A girl whose fighting ability surpassed that of any normal human, the strongest girl on earth. With a fighting spirit that defied comprehension, the ultimate martial artist kicked off the floor. A sound even louder than the motorcycle's engine filled the room. Then Mukudo looked back. She saw Sakura landing on the floor, sending the pack of Monokuma flying several meters away. Sakura? As if she heard Mukudo mumble her name, Sakura didn't acknowledge it. Like a statue of a fearsome god king, she calmed her breathing as she stood before the pack of Monokumas ready for battle. Now, your pursuit methods seem unbecoming for one who claims to be the ultimate hacker. As an overpowering aura seeped from her skin, and her skin shimmered as the intense heat began to fill the hallway. And like the power of Mukudo's sheer violence, this was the power of martial arts. Mukudo froze the air around her, and time lock with it. But Sakura was generating enough heat to boil space itself as she stood before the Monokumas. With that, he's stinging her back. Mukudo looked ahead. Hifumi and Chihiro were cautiously speaking behind the door leading to the dorms, while Aoi and Taka. Which one was Taka? I don't remember. Yoshitaka? I don't know. She kept watching from inside the building. After passing them by, Mondo slowed down the motorcycle as he reached the front of the cafeteria and turned it into a complete stop. The other students looked warily at Mukudo. But among these students, Mukudo noticed two people who weren't regarding her suspicion. One was Kyoko, who seemed to be studying the situation. The other one was a skinny boy who was leaning against Kyoko's shoulder. Makoto? Mukudo's lips began to trouble as she sat on the back of the motorcycle. Ignoring the pain coursing through his body, Makoto smiled at Mukudo and repeated what he said to her earlier. I'm glad you're safe, Mukudo. Unfortunately, Mukudo was unable to realize her hope of filling his sister with despair. Instead, she had successfully planted the seeds of hope into her fellow students. Holy shit, we've been here for so long. 42 minutes. We're gonna keep going, because I'm a beast mate. But, before that, I'm just gonna make sure my laptop is in a state of safety. So I'm ready to end. When I'm ready to end this, I can properly. Okay. Makoto had barely regained consciousness while Mukudo was fighting the horde of Monokumas at the main entrance. When he woke up, he did something extremely simple. He talked about his memories. Most of the students are still skeptical, even after listening to Mukudo's recording confession on Chihiro's laptop. Obviously, they were still not entirely convinced at first when Makoto woke up, but after Sakura asked him a certain question, her ambience completely changed. Then beyond the walls of the school, the world completely destroyed? You're saying there's no one else alive? Makoto slowly sat up to answer Sakura's meek question. Don't worry, I'm sure Kenichiro is still safe. I'm sure he'll still keep his promise to you. Sakura gasped. Kenichiro was the only man she couldn't defeat, a man who had promised her a rematch, and made her one other promise as well. How do you know that name? How do you know about the promise? Because you told me. No. Makoto slowly corrected himself. You told all of us. Sakura was silent after hearing those words, but she then faced the other students and spoke in a loud, clear voice. I'm going to trust Makoto. Sakura? Though Aoi was shocked, Sakura continued to speak with determination. What Makoto just said is something I kept locked away inside my memories. In fact, I was planning to keep that a secret until the day I died. But if I shared that secret, that means there was once a strong bond between Makoto, myself, and with my fellow students as well. Makoto continued talking in a gentle tone. Though it couldn't have been good for his health, he continued to slowly talk about his memories that the other students no longer had. But why do you know about the story I'm planning to write? Are you a specialist Nen user who can predict the future? You already finished the story, Hifumi. You had me help you thinking. What? Wait a sec! How do you know I extorted money from that girl related to the Kuzuryu clan? Because you even tried to sell my organs to them. Kuzuryu clan? What? Oh. His wounds were excruciating, but even so, Makoto kept smiling and talking about their lives together. as if it was his duty to do so now that he had regained his memories. And the other students listened to him. They slowly began to realize something. The vivid accounts he was providing couldn't be explained as such passing knowledge. Clearly, some kind of bond between them had all been erased. Only Byakuya remained cynical. There's no way I would have grown closer to any of you. It's likely that you're all secretly working together. Though Byakuya was hostile towards Makoto's recollection of their memories, for the time being he determined that Makoto wasn't actually a terrorist. Makoto had brought enough time for Makoto to wake up and share his memories with the others. Even if she hadn't been intended to do that, it was still a small sliver of hope that she grasps tightly. And now, she looked up at the boy who had smiled at her. Makoto didn't know what to say. She couldn't think of anything to say at all. The battle was over, and Makoto was now back to being a disappointing girl. She turned away from everyone's faces and apologetically climbed off the back of the motorcycle. Makoto saw her and slowly opened his mouth to say, "Thank you, Makoto. You saved my life." All the tears made all the tears, the memes, the danks. Makoto gave her words of sincere gratitude between his weak breaths. Makoto couldn't bring herself to look at him as she mumbled to herself, "Why? Huh? If Kyoko told you, then you already know what I did, right?" After regaining his memories and learning the truth, Makoto should have done nothing but but a hated traitor to him. Why would he smile at someone like her? Makoto kept her head down. Makoto smiled as if he was unsure how to respond and said, "Well, I guess you're right. But you also saved my life many times during these past years, and..." Makoto took a deep, quiet breath and smiled at Makoto again. "You're my friend. We all spent time with each other. It would be great if you could look for a different path, not despair. And if there's any way I can help you, I will. Do you really think I can walk another path at this point? I don't know what you can do or even what I can do, but I think it's more important to look for a path instead of actually finding it." Was this intentional or a coincidence? Just before he regained his memories, Makoto had something similar to Makoto when she spoke to him in the nurse's office as Junko. Regardless of whether he lost his memories or regained them, those words revealed Makoto's true character. As Makoto confirmed that to herself, Makoto blurted out something that was almost too trusting. "And if it's not just you, even Junko can." But he was immediately interrupted. Monokuma's face appeared on every monitor in the academy, and his laughter seemed to be coming out of every speaker. "I could have pretended to be the ultimate hacker, but it's boring to impersonate someone who doesn't even exist. If this keeps up, I'll lose my identity and turn into Konokuma." Kyoko looked up at the surveillance camera and addressed Monokuma directly. You seem to give up pretty easily. There isn't a bear anywhere that gives up as easily as I do. Regardless, I'm pretty sure Chihiro figured out the secret of my control program by now. So I just thought that you included that program on purpose. Kyoko realized something when Makoto told her about Junko. There were two reasons such a hateful person would intentionally leave an obvious clue inside the Monokuma parts. Either Junko wanted the students to learn the truth about the outside world and themselves on their own and turn their hopes into despair. Or she was looking forward to the clue resulting in her own plan being undone, which allowed her to feel despair towards herself. She was an angel of everlasting darkness, delighting in her own despair and using it to spread despair and destruction to those around her. Why would someone like that continue to play the role of Monokuma? Actually, I set that program for Chihiro to discover if she happened to be one of the final 5 survivors. I feel so sad and empty that my preparation was a waste, but I'm going to think about it positively. Well, that's so badly grammared, but I'm going to think about positively. That's bad. The word retreat doesn't exist in Monokuma's dictionary. Nervousness began to grip the students as Monokuma continued to talk in his relaxing, uplifting voice. "Now then, it looks like everyone's here, including Toko, who's still tied up in her room. So let's start the heart-throbbing, exciting special graduation ceremony exam thing." The students broke out in noisy confusion, but Monokuma ignored them and kept talking. "Don't think about it too hard. Relax. Change Elax to Rupert, for all I care." Rupert? Okay. "For all I care, I'll still be the most adorable bear here." But Byakuya, visibly annoyed with Monokuma's nonsensical rambling, shouted, "I already know it's you, Junko. Stop this game and show yourself." "Oh my, don't you know? If you want to lure the mastermind out of her heavenly hidey hole, you need to bring a worthy sacrifice. You're not worthy enough at all. Do you really think the mastermind would show herself for your pathetic hope and despair?" Pwahaha. He roared maniacally, then began to explain the special graduation ceremony exam thing. "If you pass my exam, everyone will graduate, but if you fail, you'll be held back for another year. I'll reset your memories, give you a fresh new lease on life, and you'll be reintroduced to yourselves at the start of the school year again. They say people's lives don't come with reset buttons, but I'm not a people." Whether it's soft resets or hard resets, I can do as I please. Yasuhiro seemed confused, but Kiyotaka Yasuhiro, I think that's what his name was. No, it's Yasuhiro Hagakure. Seemed confused, but the other students knew what Monokuma meant by reset. But he was... Oh, Kiyotaka was the... He was the prefect. Yes, he seemed confused, but the others knew what Monokuma meant by reset. He was going to force them to relive their school lives once again. As Yasuhiro struggled to understand, Taka pointed at the nearby monitor and shouted, "Stop this already! No matter what you do with us, we'll never commit bad murder. These past few days should have already made that clear to you." "What was that?" jumped Monokuma. "Are you serious?" "Of course. No one here would ever take another human being's life for any reason." As Taka shouted, one of the students, a pale-faced girl standing apart from the others, looked away. "And that's Sayaka." Uh-oh. It was Sayaka. As she trembled, a voice popped up from behind her. "What do you think, Sayaka?" "Huh?" She couldn't even turn around from the sheer terror, but Sayaka knew. She knew Monokuma was standing right behind her. "Do you really think none of you will become a killer?" Monokuma leaned towards Sayaka and asked her if a question only she could hear. "By the way, Sayaka, why did you go to Makoto's room when nothing strange had happened? Did you two have an inappropriate relationship? What would your fans think if they found out you made a move on a boy by sneaking into his room? Or were you there for some other reason?" She could barely make a sound, much less scream, as her trembling worsened. Monokuma had nothing to gain by cornering Sayaka, toying with her emotions like this. He simply wanted to see the younger singer fall in despair over her true character. And for that reason, Monokuma did not relent. Hey, what were you trying to do to your close friend you've known for the past 2 years? Her determination from last night blended with the memories Makoto had recounted and ate away at Sayaka's mind like a disease. Her mind began to rip apart itself, and she fell to her knees. A clear ball flying at under 105 miles per hour struck Monokuma in the mouth with enough force to sink in his face. "Ooh, Leon!" The speaker in Monokuma's mouth was immediately destroyed as the body rolled onto the wall and stopped moving. Sayaka came to her senses and looked where the ball came flying from. She saw Leon breathing heavily as he stared intensely at Monokuma. Yasuhiro grabbed him and yelled, "Ah, dude, why'd you do that, Leon? The crystal bar is clearly really valuable." Leon had stolen Yasuhiro's crystal ball and thrown it at Monokuma. "That Monokuma bastard's trying to take Sayaka hostage. What's that supposed to do?" "Dude, that crystal ball cost me $2 trillion. $2 trillion. They don't even print that much money anymore." "Oh, bullshit. Besides, if the world was all screwed up, what the hell are you gonna need money for anyway? But it's safe out there. But if it's safe out there, I'll just join the major leagues or whatever and pay you back." Well, I could pay you back doing something else besides baseball. And as those two argued, Sayaka fell to her knees. "Hey!" shouted Leon, running towards her. "Sayaka, are you okay?" She looked at him and stared blankly. "Leon." She had made up her mind, and she raised her head as she said, "There's something I need to confess to you later." "What? Seriously?" Sayaka was staring at Leon so intensely that he briefly forgot about the current situation. Not just you, but to Makoto and the others too. Sayaka had made up her mind to convince the cinch that was weighing heavily on her heart, but Leon seemed not to hear the latter half of her remark. He ran to the others, slapped Hifumi and Yasuhiro on their backs and shouted, "Alright everyone, let's ace the exam wherever. Get out of here already." "There's no one gonna let my happy memories of this place get taken away." The Monokuma inside the monitor responded, Fine. Now you know that things are finally coming to a boil. Let's start the graduation exam." Sakura, who had been outside the dormitory, suddenly appeared with some information. The Monokumas in the hallway were acting peculiar. The students all moved to the main building to see what Sakura was talking about. They saw 50 Monokumas standing in 2 rows along the hallway. One is standing at the very end of the hall. Okay, tired already. There was something strange on top of this Monokuma's head. An enlarged version of the escape button that Makoto had obtained from the Mono machine. As each student took in this site, an announcement rang through the school. "The me at the end of the hall has a button on top of his head that'll open the main entrance. You'll have 15 seconds to get that button, and if you do, I'll let you have it in the place of a diploma." The student seemed unsurprised by this straightforward explanation. Only Celeste remained calm, and she asked Monokuma with a bored look on her face. "Of course, it's not as simple as running up and taking it, is it?" "Wow, I'm pretty sure we've been here for an hour already." "Oh ho, how mean. Do I look like the kind of headmaster that would interfere with the student's graduation?" "Forget the gun fire salutes. I'm gonna send my graduates off with some fireworks. 100 fireworks to be exact, enough for 20 seconds of hardcore partying." The more perceptive students immediately realized what he was talking about. The bombs installed inside each Monokuma. They would explode one after the other, filling the hall with fire as soon as time started. After 15 seconds, the me standing at the back of the hall is going to sacrifice himself to give you guys one line of firework. By the way, this probably isn't important, but the button isn't very durable. This graduation exam was Monokuma's way of saying that he had no intention of letting anyone leave. It was clear from the explosions that students saw during the entrance exam that the halls of Holy Seek Academy would be bathed in fire. Even if someone was lucky enough to survive the explosions, the burns on their body would alone be enough to send them into a fatal shock. Their lungs might be completely incinerated by the scorching air before that. Even if they sacrificed one student to run through, their odds were low that they would even succeed. But there's no reason for every student to run and once see each other, and a shout of despair fell upon their faces. Very nice. I almost want to take a picture so I have these faces as a souvenir. As Monokuma laughed from behind the monitor, Sakura stepped forward. I'll do it. I've only seen this explosion once, but I believe I'm capable of withstanding its power. No, shouted Aoi. You can't. Even you couldn't handle 100 of those explosions. Sakura shook her head. I'm the only one who even has a chance. Suddenly, Mondo remembered the motorcycle he parked inside the dormitory and said, Hold up. That motorcycle might be fast enough to go through those explosions. I'll do it. Don't be hasty, urged Sakura. Even if the motorcycle is unharmed by the explosions, that doesn't mean its rider will be. As Sakura and the others continued their debate, one person stepped towards the hallway lined with Monokuma's. I'll do it. Mukuro, screamed Makoto weakly. Mukuro, with her back facing Makoto, turned her head to the side slightly and gave him a small nod. She knew it would come to this. She knew why Monokuma would pose such an impossible exam. Junko was already looking forward to the next despair game. She's going to erase everyone's memory, including mine. She just wants to torment us and fill us with despair before that happens. But Mukuro knew her sister's personality all too well, and that's why she was confident. She knew that the escape button was real. Whenever Junko brought despair to others, she always made sure there was a possibility that despair would befall her instead. If students won the gamble and made it through the horrible situation, they would finally escape to the outside world. That outcome would obviously fill Junko with immense despair. In the same way she felt she left a clue in Monokuma's control program, Junko could not be satisfied unless she took pains to ensure her own destruction. It was this quality that made Junko the ultimate despair. That's why Mukuro was determined to do it. She knew she was the only person who stood a chance of making that outcome possible, even if she had to risk her life. But right now, Mukuro wanted to live more than anything. She wanted to hold on to this world. A world she had no interest in previously. She didn't even know if this hesitation she felt was disappointing or not. But she wanted to live and continue searching for a new path. A path where she could abandon her submissions to despair, where she could accept the sins of the past and continue to live. Mukuro, who was known for a war machine, found her heart beset by overwhelming fear and anxiety. But until now, it never occurred to her that determination was necessary to live. As if she was brushing that fear aside, she quietly said, Thank you, Makoto. Unfortunately, the words she said to the boy who showered her new possibilities never reached his ears. Sakura, however, heard her and frowned as she said, If you're planning to sacrifice yourself as an act of penance, I'll stop you with all my power. Though her words were firm, there was unmistakable affection hiding in them. Both girls had dedicated their lives to battle, and yet Mukuro felt a twinge of jealousy towards Sakura for possessing something she lacked. Mukuro leaned towards Sakura and whispered in her ear, What, are you serious? As Sakura frown intensified, Monokuma's voice blown throughout the halls. Alright, I'm gonna start the exam now. Ready, set, go! There was no time for questions or objections. The frontmost Monokuma exploded, sending a roaring wave of heat throughout the hall, but Mukuro didn't look away. She began moving, powered by resolute determination. Oh shit. Monokuma room. As soon as the graduation exam started, the mastermind focused her control entirely on the Monokuma holding the escape button, and completely synchronized her field of vision with it. She knew what was going to happen next. She could predict what her sister Mukuro would do in this exact situation, where she would choose to focus her superhuman skill with weaponry. And so, through Monokuma's eyes, she watched the scene unfold exactly as she had predicted. A pointed metal bar burst through the explosions, heading straight for the weak point of the Monokuma holding the escape button. Specifically, it was aiming for the point where the bomb detonation system and Monokuma's power source overlapped. It flew straight and through, true, as if it had been fired by a master archer. In order to bring despair to Monokuma, and by extension Junko as well, the super soldier known as Mukuro Kusaba threw the pipe like a spear so it would attack the same weak point she had pierced the nurse's office. As explosions filled the hallway until only fire remained visible. The spear's speed and precision as it sorted the target defied all human logic. But the mastermind knew. She knew Mukuro used her power to fill the world of despair. Power that was all disappointing girl had. But that power was useless against Monokuma. The mastermind had predicted that Mukuro would put all her efforts into the throw, and Monokuma caught the metal bar perfectly between his hands. The voice of the throw knocked Monokuma several yards, but the pointed end of the bar never reached to pierce through his chest. Well, that was disappointing. The mastermind turned to look at the different monitor. She wanted to see the look on Mukudo's face that when she realized she failed to strike Monokuma. The despair of seeing the final Monokuma explode right before her eyes, completely obliterating the escape button. She wanted to sear this memory of her disappointing sister's final moments as her newfound hope sank into a dark pit of despair. On instinct, she turned her attention to the surveillance camera that hadn't been destroyed, but instead of seeing Mukudo and the others, she only saw Sakura, who looked as though she had finished launching an attack. Huh? She thought it was strange for 1 second. Wait, how much going to bet she launched Mukudo over? But then the hopelessly powerful mastermind completely understood the situation and shifted her point of view to Monokuma. But because of that single second, Junko would feel a pang of despair. 3 seconds left. Amid the smoke, flames and heating and circling the hallway, it burst through with the speed of a Shannon shell. It glared at Monica with hot, boiling eyes that betrayed the icy expression on her face, and then, sharply, swiftly, strongly, it transformed into a living weapon that cuts through everything, revealing its true form of the Hall of Despair. 2 seconds left. Monokuma, who was still holding the metal bar in his hands, tried to move, but at the exact same moment, the living weapon carved a path through the flames and appeared right before him. Its body, which had never been wounded on any battlefield, sustained all matters of burns and injuries. But even so, it did not falter. The fire in its eyes never flickered once. 1 second left. The living weapon, Mukudo, slammed her knees onto the back of the metal bar Monokuma was holding. The sharp tip of the metal bar pierced through Monokuma like a rail spike, shredding the detonator and its power source into pieces. Time's up. 100 explosions, seized in smoke, blanketed the hallway. Mukudo had dived into Monokuma and the pristine escape button now rested in her hand. She and the other students of Hogspeed Academy had passed the graduation exam. It was only a small amount of despair. Monokuma had tasted it in only 3 seconds. First floor hallway. Junko. Mukudo looked down at Monokuma. She could no longer move or to self-destruct. When she spoke to him, a static-filled voice emitted from his mouth. It seemed as if communication function still worked. Poo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I never expected you to do that. She still sounded like Monokuma. It seemed his voice modulator was unharmed as well. I'm gonna now take a sip of the coca that I had not opened yet, but my my throat is parched. I don't usually read for this long. Most video games have a lot more action. 1 second, I'm just opening it. It's sealed. There we go. Opening. There we go. Some good shit, mate. Good shit. Let's continue. I must have overestimated you. I never thought you'd need anybody's help on the battlefield. When I give the signal, please launch me forward with the roundhouse kick. Mukudo whispered his words to Sakura just before the explosion started. And after Mukudo threw the metal bar, she jumped in the air at the exact moment. Sakura unleashed a roundhouse kick. Right when Sakura's foot made contact with her own, Mukudo used the force generated by the kick to repel herself at Monokuma. Using the ultimate martial arts Superman attack like a springboard, she shot herself through the air like an artillery shell. Enduring intense heat, shrapnel, and blood-draining EG force, she stayed conscious as she charged through the hallway, engulfed with explosions of despair. Mukudo trusted Junko. She trusted Junko to predict that she'd thrown the metal bar and catch it accordingly. Then she tried to look at her face as the despair set in. The Junko and the Shuma she knew would definitely do that. Although Mukudo had predicted that her sister would try to kill her with the Spear of Gungnir, she had a better understanding of her actions now. As Mukudo stared Monokuma in his face, all he could do was laugh scornfully. You put your life in someone's hands for a deadly battle? I don't know how I feel about that. You'll always be a half-assed disappointment. I guess this time I'll just say I lost because I didn't see this much disappointment coming. The end. Monokuma shook her head at Monokuma. No, you're wrong, Junko. Huh? If you want to talk about winning or losing, I think we lost before we even started. Mukudo's eyes shifted from side to side as if she was unsure of something, and she fidgeted in place as she continued to talk. No matter how much despair they felt, you didn't think they'd kill each other the way they were before. That's why you waste their memories. They aren't like the others you forced in the past. You knew these students would never do it. That's what you believed, isn't it? What are you talking about? Oh, so it's okay, Junko. I'll bring back everyone's memories someday, and I'll show you everyone's happiness and their bonds. I'll show all that to you, and fill you with even more despair. Mukudo nodded after she said this, so as if to cheer her sister up. After several seconds of silence, Monokuma responded, You finally beat me this one time, and that lame speech is the best you can do? You're such a disappointment. You never fill me with despair. It's just constant disappointment. After pouting like a sore loser, Monokuma continued to speak in his usual tone. But you guys will be back. And when that time comes, I'll invite you guys to a wonderful place. I found out about this fun island while I was running things here. Ooh. Monokuma's laughter filled the room before the static finally cut out and his remains fell silent. He wouldn't be talking again anytime soon. The mastermind was already preparing a new despair to bring the world and the students of Host Bay Academy, Junko included. In the end, the mastermind stayed in her Monokuma persona until the very end, and Junko Nishima never showed her face again. It was as if she resented the despair Mukudo had given her. The thought about almost filling Mukudo with despair, but when she heard her classmate calling for her, she sealed that despair in the depths of her heart. From now on, she would seal away all her despair. And one day, when she can give Junko the perfect despair, she'll unleash all the despair she stored and plunged her sister into the dark abyss. I won't leave my sister alone. In the end, that was the first hope the disappointing older sister, had felt since she was a child. Ooh, I just burped really hard. Several hours later, main entrance. Mukudo, are you really going to go out wearing that wig? After receiving a blood transfusion of the correct blood type, Makoto was beginning to show signs of recovering. Mukudo, holding her wig, disguised herself as Junko Nishima, nodded. I'll live as Junko. I might be able to understand her better. Despite that, Mukudo's voice still sounded like her own, as if she had fully decided. And I've made up my mind. While I'm out there, I've decided to accept everyone's hatred towards me, and towards Junko. I can't die until I've destroyed all that despair that Junko has bred. The damage that ultimate despair inflicted upon the world could not be measured in terms of money, culture, or even human life. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Whoops. Even human life. What? Oh, there it is. Among the survivors in the outside world, there are still people who hadn't been tainted by despair. You are even human life. Television broadcasts already began informing people that Junko Nishima and Mukudo Isaba were the hearts of ultimate despair. Among the survivors in the outside world, there are still people who hadn't been tainted by despair yet, regardless of the fact that she had released Makoto and the others. To these survivors, there is nothing more than the reason the world ended. Wouldn't it be safer to just turn yourself in? Wondered Yasuhiro. Well, you might get executed instead, but you could live to be an old lady if your trial keeps getting pushed back. Mukoto slowly shook her head at Yasuhiro. Laws, justice, these things no longer exist. Oh, look at all that mess. Is it really that bad out there? Maybe we should stay in here. Byakuya glared at Yasuhiro with contempt. Ignorant idiots who just shut up. Your fate won't change whether you stay in here or not. Though he was shocked to learn Togami Corporation had been destroyed, Byakuya continued to remain firm, proud, and even toward Mukudo. You are a rare asset, continued Byakuya, so I will let you live for now. Depending on your actions, I may consider forgiving your crimes after I've built a new world. Only Togami would boast that they're capable of forgiving the crime of entering the world. Y'all need to do that. I don't plan on just surviving. After turning away from Byakuya, Mukudo looked at the other students. Everyone was reacting in their own way. Kyoko had a look of quite quiet preparation. Toko had just changed back from Genesis Jack, was panicking and confused. Mukudo looked back on the 2 years she had spent with them and turned to Makoto, who shared the same memories as her, and gave him the escape button. Makoto, you press it. Huh? Me? I think it's better if you press it instead of me. As she watched Makoto accept the button with some hesitation, Mukudo thought about what Monokuma had said. You guys will be back. Mukudo knew that Monokuma was telling the truth. After all, the file the students needed to fully restore their lost memories were hidden in the academy. The research notes of Yasuke Matsuda, the ultimate neurologist. His research is the key to restoring everyone's memories. The ultimate neurologist, by the way, is there's a light novel on that I'm not going to read, but it's not in this game anyway, so you'd have to read the online translations. Even if the students no longer have their memories, they may be able to repair the bonds they had built among themselves over the past few years. But as long as their memories remain unrestored, the mastermind could still repeat her deadly plan. Although the island mentioned earlier sounded strange, the students could not turn their backs on despair facing now. Then, let's go. Makoto remembered everything that was happening in the outside world. The boy who had chosen to remain inside the academy 2 years ago was now choosing to leave. How much did he struggle to come to that decision? But he was determined to face despair awaiting him outside, and hid his internal conflict from the others. By protecting Makoto Mukudo would bring despair to her beloved sister. But she no longer knew if the end result of her goal would lead to hope or despair. She pulled the wig over her head and hid her face with her hands. She was smiling because hope was waiting for her? Or was she crying because her path would lead to despair? When she lowered her hands, her face was devoid of all emotion. Mukuno no longer knew what expression she was wearing on her face. At the same time, Makoto pressed the escape button. A siren began to wail at the turrets retracting from the ceiling. From beyond the heavy door, a bright light appeared. An infinite number of ifs, and all the possibilities contained therein encased the world. Accepting everything, hope, despair, and even the feelings of the disappointing girl, Mukudo Isaba. That's the end, I think, right? Oh, there's going to be the animation, too. I feel like I'm going to get copyright striked for this animation only. I guess whatever, I'll take it, though. What a way to end a book. That took way longer than it should have. That does not look like the outside. Then again, that's just a if. Danganronpa if. Thanks for watching. Oh no. Is that the end, right? That's the end. Yeah! Danganronpa if. Praise Lord. Yes, I'll save my changes. And that's everything in Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, excluding the Monami thing stuff. But if we go to event, all this stuff, right? We'll go to event gallery. Everything is here for my knowledge, other than the bonus stuff, like the secret events that go on. If you have certain items in your inventory, yeah, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that I literally can't be bothered to go and get them. These two are 2 of the secret ones from my knowledge. And then there's also the movie gallery now that is completely done now that we have the Good Despair everyone knew. And then we go to the artwork gallery, and it has everything now. We go to the sound gallery, and it has everything. Everything's done, except for, like I said before, the other part of the game, the special events, and the Magical Miracle Girl Monami, which is really pointless, and I don't plan on doing it. So thank you guys for watching my Let's Play of Danganronpa 2, Danganronpa If, and Dangan Island Mode. It was really fun to finish the series, and we're finally done after maybe a year plus, 2 plus of this game. And I'm so glad a lot of you guys enjoyed it, because I love how, like, I actually did a series that people enjoyed. But now that this is over, we still need to finish up Danganronpa another episode. So that'll be next on the agenda. So thank you guys for watching. It's gotta be maybe out. See you guys next time.